Hey.
Howdy.
Why not have two countdowns, right?
I know.
I didn't press that first one on accident at all.
So we need a countdown to the countdown. That's how important.
We want to. Yeah, I had to not enough people are in here yet. Let's do another countdown just to make sure. There we go. I pretty much just do it so I can fart around for an extra 30 seconds. But yes, welcome all. This is the Collectors Club recommendation roundtable that we do every month. This is Memorial Day war movie themed. So in honor of Memorial Day, I figured, hey, war movies are cool usually. Let's do that. And then we'll be doing our regular Collectors Club show on the 19th. Here is that, just so I don't forget to do it at least once at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, yet again on my channel. But how you kids doing out there? You guys good?
I'm doing good.
Very good.
So enjoy.
You watched all, right? We all did that.
What?
Said we watched.
Oh, we're supposed to watch something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Uh-oh.
I ended up watching one of these.
I didn't do the
3
homework.
days to watch one movie.
Could you imagine? Oh, is that tonight, y'all? Crap.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I kept reading what was this week, so I was almost
I
there.
watched 3 movies today and a NASCAR race. I spent 12 hours in front of the television today.
Gee whiz. I had too much life to do.
Yeah, right. I was proud of myself. I watched a whole movie and without having to stop it and finish it the next day. Today.
I'm like, I finished all my war movies before, so I was watching totally different stuff. I was watching Dread before I got on here. I'm like, okay.
I should have recommended this for some reason. Out of the comments here, just quick to say ahoy hoy to everybody. And our number one fan, of course, is here, Tiana. Thank you for the super chat as always. You're amazing. Hashtag number one fan. I have to say that. She sent this when I was prepping this 6 hours ago. So I was like, oh, thanks.
Wonderful. Wow. Yes. Wish I could do that.
Yeah, we can't.
You gotta have the power.
Do it.
You gotta have the powers.
He's got some weird plug-in.
I don't have an Apple something or other. All right. Happy Optimist, formerly the Infinite Character. Attention, soldiers. Collectors Club is in session. You're not incorrect. That's a double.
We are indeed.
Johnny, how's it going? I know he's been watching. What did you get? American Sniper today? I think was that you who got that book or something?
Yep.
Some nice propaganda films. American Sniper. Oh, he likes the beard, Tim. I think we all do. Mine doesn't go in shapes. Mine just starts to go rogue.
Him just showing off.
I have to keep it no longer than this. Kitten Paws is here as always.
Hi, Kitten Paws.
And Ghoul, thank you for being here.
Yeah, what are you doing, Huck? A beard is kind of part of the Collectors Club.
Yeah.
It's because I can't. Keanu gets that crappy side right there. That's what I get. I can rock a goatee, but I cannot do a full beard.
I want to see that. Let's go next collector.
Also, I have to get it by Kitten Paws because she doesn't like when I grow because she says it makes me look older. Because now my goatee is white instead of red.
Yeah, you would be it.
Yeah, so she's like, "Don't do it."
But then you look
takes me a while. We'll see. Maybe for Movember, I'll see.
Yeah, start now, and then by Christmas you'll have.
I would have to start now.
Exactly.
Santa Claus. There we go.
Yeah, that'd be the best. When Ben Grimm popped in, I'll say hi to him before we do things. Yeah, give Huck a fake. That's a good idea. We should sell fake beards in our merch store.
I should totally get one for the next stream. Exactly, Johnny. Right? It's totally what it would look like.
That's awesome. All right, well, yeah. This is an easy one.
It's like the drummer of ZZ Top. He didn't have a beard, but the other guys did. He had a mustache.
Oh yeah, you're like our drummer because he's in the background. So
which is funny because his name is Mike Beard.
I didn't know that. He invented beards.
Yeah. So
that's what they're named after. That's awesome.
All right.
So we're just gonna go in this round. I positioned us all. I have all our things here. So we're gonna start with Huck. He's gonna talk about the 3 movies he watched, and then we'll all chime in if we've seen them. Which I have seen all 3 of yours, which makes me feel bad for the person who I've only seen one of them. But we'll get there when we get there. So Huck, in whatever order you choose, obviously. Which one do you want to start with?
All right. So I just want to talk to the audience and say, We talked beforehand. There's always like a theme that maybe some of us, like Mike for Saturday Night Live, never really watched the show, so he had to do a little homework for this. This is kind of my Saturday Night Live. I'm not a big war movie fan, although I've watched more than I thought, but it's not my go-to. So this was kind of fun for me to sit down and really watch some of these. And I will say they were all really good. So we'll get that out of the way. I didn't hate any of these. So
okay,
fantastic.
Yes.
All three of you really did a good job.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So,
Like that.
I was very, in fact, even my wife watched one of these with me, which I'll wait and tell you which one, and we both liked it. And while I was watching this, just had Zero Dark 30 on, like the other day, just behind me. It's like, all right, look, now it's in my brain. So I'm going to be very clear why these are in the order they end. Now, at the third position, again, I like them all, but I am going to put All Quiet on the Western Front last.
My goodness.
I know. But so here's the thing, and it's an interesting thing. Like when I got done with all three, what gets to me, right? And the thing, it's tough because and as a reminder, we do talk spoilers on this so that we can talk about certain things. So if you haven't seen All Quiet on the Western Front, just hit mute until that goes away and becomes the next movie.
Yeah.
But so it's this journey of this young guy. It reminded me, interestingly, of 1917 because it's sort of this young guy, almost kind of looks like the same actor, and he goes on this journey, but he's sort of by himself. Well, I mean, he's got a bunch of friends, but it feels like it's focused on him. And it's just, I get it. War is sad. It's very sad. And this is the epitome of that is right. You go all the way with him all the way. And then it ends the way it ends. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't know if we want to say it, but it's just like that ending it just deflated me, and because that is what war is about. And that's why I don't like war movies so much, because I don't like being reminded of how horrific we are as a species. And this is the kind of movie that reminds you, this is what we do. This is what we've done. Yeah. And that's the kind of war movie. When I say I'm not a big war movie, that's the kind that I don't click with because it's just so depressing. So, but I mean, beautiful to look at, extremely well acted. Like I got to give it all the accolades I can. The direction was really good. It's just that topic of just no one makes it, no matter how hard they try. It's just heartbreaking. So Derek, I'm sorry. Like I know you love the film, and it's also interesting to me because then I understand. I find it interesting that you love this film so much, given that's So given that that's its end game, it's fascinating to me that you guys love it so much, despite. I mean, I don't know how rewatchable this is for me, but I'm super glad I saw it. If that makes sense.
So for me, when it comes to war movies, if you give me a choice, I like the more realistic, this is the atrocities we've committed type than the popcorny action type. Do you got what I'm saying? Like I kind of love how real it tries to portray it and how just gut-wrenching it is. I like that portrayal a little bit more than the Michael Bay approach or something like that.
Yeah.
Not
definitely not
just pointing out Michael Bay, but like some war movies just aim to be action movies first, and I like the ones that kind of like they make you think later. That's what All Quiet stuck with me, and that's a big part of it. Like if I'm still thinking about it,
it's still sticking with me too. That's what I like about it is it makes me feel, it makes me think, it makes me hang on to it. But as a movie, it's not where I like it. If I'm not going to find myself rewatching it, that's why I got to put it a little lower.
So so there's a movie called The Nightingale. I've only seen the movie once. I think the movie is a 10 out of 10, absolutely fantastic. But the movie was such a punch to the gut, horrific. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but I own it because I loved it and thought it's an absolutely fantastic movie. But yeah, some subject matter it's tough to return to. I don't know when or if I'll ever watch The Nightingale again, but I know I thought it was an amazing movie.
Right. That's how I feel pretty much. Yeah, about All Quiet. I totally agree with. Yeah, Huck, you're right. Everything about it. Everything you said is great. I was like, as long as you can acknowledge how well made it is, I'll be fine with the rest. Because it just depends on how it hits you.
And that score, the score is
so good. Well,
outstanding. Yes.
And if you remember the very opening and the very end, it was so literally quiet. They're showing you it is all quiet on the Western Front. And at first I thought, is my volume broken? Like usually there's like an ambient air sound, but it was quiet until you I mean, they really sneak the sound in at that beginning. So I was like, all right, I see where we're going.
Yeah, I love the ending. Well, I love it. It's so horrible. But when like
Derek,
the commanding officer is supposed to end essentially what he's doing, but he just pushes on with this last mission, and this kid has to do it. And then it's like you just know like. And I love that it's taken because the original one, I believe, is taken from the other perspective. I like that this one is from the German perspective, which is rare for a movie that is this popular and well regarded, at least in our country. So I like that about it, and it makes you empathize with the enemy per se, which is rare too. And I just like that about it because it's like they're kids. Like you see these. I'm an old man now. I could say that. Like all these kids in this movie, like him and his buddy he's with throughout most of the movie, he was great too. I really liked him.
Oh, wonderful.
It's interesting though, like when you talk about the sympathizing, there's a big difference in the German army between an SS soldier and just a general soldier that was basically forced into doing this for their country. They're drastically different. There were Germans that fought for the country because they had to. They weren't necessarily aligned with the beliefs, but it's basically you fight for us or we kill you anyways. So
exactly.
Yeah, what was fascinating about the opening is they were all young kids getting into the back of this truck with their rifles, and they're like, "Let's go!" Like they were just like because they hadn't quite sunk in that you could go die. Like I think they just thought we're going to go to war, fight for our country, kill some bad guys, and come home and celebrate. That's what was in their faces when they got in the truck, and it was quickly shut down. I was like.
And at this point, the technology really changed. It became much more devastating with just the explosives, the automatics, the gas, all that type of stuff. So it was not what they expected from wars past. Wars past before that were way, way different. So it was much more devastating.
And I find myself getting like I try to be cool here, but super emotional. I don't want to bring the moment back up because it really got to me. Is when his friend was blowtorched. Like like that just crushed me. I was like, oh my god, So
I love the beginning how it opens with the like you were saying with the kids all chipper about going to war and they're singing and then it goes through where they're getting their uniforms back and they're taking off the old names of the old uniforms and throwing them in the trash or whatever, and then like the new one. I'm just like, oh, here you go. Here's your replacement because that's literally what you are.
Yeah. And I also like how they show some of the politics to the war too, because this is the one where they're doing negotiations on a train, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that seems cool.
I remember those negotiations being infuriating because you're like, why are these negotiations taking so long? It's like, come on, people are dying. Let's end this. Like, let's go. And they kept drawing it out. I'm like, oh my gosh, terrible. So terrible.
So I take it though, this is one we all liked it then. To different degrees, but we all like it.
Also,
it's a good movie, whether you like it or not. That's what this movie is.
I mean, it won plenty of Oscars, right? Didn't it win 4 Oscars?
Yeah.
And didn't this one get cinematography?
Yeah, I got cinematography, score, which I loved. What else did I get?
Foreign film, right?
Art direction, and international feature. Yeah, I remember at the BAFTAs it got nominated for like 14 things. It like broke the record of nominations for that. But it got nominated for every single thing it could except the lead character, which pissed me off because he's so good. That's his first movie he's ever been in, and he's so good.
He's outstanding. Yeah. All right, so I'll move off of that. I think that's a good. Thanks for the conversation on that one, because like I said, sorry to put it at the bottom, but those are all the reasons. But yeah, super good. Okay, so the next two, and I really look. Okay, so talk this over with my wife that I could do this. She's like, "No, try," but I'm gonna try it. So they really are even. I'm just gonna tell you, these two movies are. It is like legit tie. Like I had a hard time really like putting one over the other because I kept going back and forth why I like each one. So I will just talk about each one, and I'll talk about The Wall first. Tim, what a fascinating pick for me. Like I loved it. I absolutely loved The Wall. It was so good. I like that. Like John Cena being taken out early is the perfect smokescreen because the guy who's usually the ass kicker is out. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It reminds me of, this is a very funny comparison, but in Executive Decision, when Steven Seagal is climbing up and he just gets eaten by the airplane, he's dead. I'm like, oh my God. So now the gloves are off. Like, what's going to happen now that Seagal is out? So Senna goes down and it's just the other guy. And that other dude just plays with him like a cat and mouse. It was just, and he catches on to he's getting ranks wrong and his accent's sort of fluctuating and he's just messing and he's taking out his water bottle. I'm like, really? He's so good that far away. He could target the radio antenna and the water bottle. Really? So you have to swallow that a little bit. That's a little precise. That far away, buried in a bunch of garbage, by the way. It's not like he was like on a flat surface waiting. I'm like, he's buried under garbage. You can barely even see him. So
he's a pro, as he says repeatedly.
Yeah. But I mean, just the moments when you think they've got him, they don't have him. And look, talk about your ending, Tim. Good Lord. Like, this is the ending.
That was great.
Yes, it's not a happy ending, but I get it. I got, like, this is where I can separate it differently from All Quiet on the Western Front, which is just everyone's dead and it's super sad. This is also similar, but it's like, it just shows you it's just going to keep going. Well, like this guy has a technique. It's a winning technique. And he's just taking him out one troop at a time. I was like, oh my God. Like you're wondering which team is going to come along that has enough in them to end him. And I mean, there's no wall left really by the end. So I don't know where another team is going to hide, but
find the helicopter.
And was it Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Yeah.
I keep want to say Anna Taylor Johnson Joy. Is absolutely fantastic. These kind of movies that are all in one place and pretty much just one actor, that's phenomenal because he's just got to be there for the entire. I would assume they just shot this movie in order. I don't know why they would bounce around because he progressively gets dirtier or this or that. But his performance, it was riveting. It's just, I don't know, so good. So good. Yeah. What'd you guys think?
Glad you liked it.
Oh, it was really good.
I watched it today.
I wish I had a copy.
Well, it helps. It is a super cheap Blu-ray often.
Yeah, it is pretty cheap. On Amazon Prime, that's where I watched it. So it was easy to watch.
That's what I watched.
On my treadmill. It was great. Because it's short enough, I could do that. Yeah, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. But oddly enough, I was saying to Tim, this is the only movie I watched out of all of these where I got to sit and watch the whole thing all at once and not have to stop it for some stupid reason. So I was more invested in this movie than I was everything else. But I'll try not to fault it for movies for that. But yeah, I was just confused with Aaron Johnson talking to himself the whole time because John Cena is invisible. That's the joke. I'm like, I had to bring that up. But yeah, like you were saying, like he's the kick-ass guy, and not only that, he's also the one who has the gun.
Yes.
Aaron Johnson
has armed
with his scope, and that's it.
And the time when he comes back and he's able to pop off shots, and you're like, did he get him? No.
No. Yeah, I'm like, he didn't get him. Nah.
Yeah, you get your answer pretty quick on that. I was like, oh no, okay, well that's that. Yeah. But I mean, even the guy when he's
I was wondering how they're gonna end it too. And when he started to you slowly learn about the other guy, the sniper you never see. I thought it was clever that I'm like, oh yeah, he knows what he's doing, and then when he's figuring out like, oh, he took out all these different troops or whatever. And then how it cuts at the end, like, oh, he's them now. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like he becomes the main character of the movie.
Yeah.
By the end of it, like, the main character is someone you've never seen.
Yeah, I like that you never see him once. You don't never see him. He's just a voice.
Although you do, interestingly, they show a perspective from him from his target.
Yeah, that's what you're seeing,
and then I love it when he sees them like going down, he laughs. He's like, like when he sees them trying to do something, he laughs. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's like,
yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that's a solid one.
What's your take on The Wall?
Man, I did have to stop this one because it put me to sleep. Oh my gosh, it really is a freaking wall. Like, that is the movie. There's a wall. And like one person the whole time. You only see one person for the majority of the movie. It kind of reminded me of Phone Booth a little bit, where it really was focused in one setting and it really tried to hit you with the suspense.
Yeah.
I'm okay sometimes with one location setting movies, but not with this one. Like, you got to have more characters involved. You have to have something different besides a wall and one person.
I feel like if you add more characters, you're taking away the suspense of one guy all alone in the desert with almost no hope. Like, the more people you add, you're taking away the suspense.
But that's okay. We would add entertainment and we would keep myself awake.
We have Mike.
And I didn't really care for the ending. I'm like, really? I watched this wall for the whole time to get to this ending. Man,
it's an hour and a half. Not like you went 2.5.
Oh man,
come on, Mike.
At least you didn't have to watch it on Pluto. Then it would have been 4.5.
I know Pluto.
If it helps, there's I wouldn't have recommended this to you in the first place. Though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
I'm not making on one location movies
or anything. Like, it's okay. It's definitely okay. Not rewatchable for me though.
I was wondering why you're keeping all quiet down there, Mike. I knew you was up to something.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd rewatch it.
The Wall is the star of the show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if it makes you feel better, I will move on to, I guess, what I'm talking about last at the top is The Hurt Locker. And yeah, so this is the only one I actually owned a copy of because I got it at the swap meet, but never watched it. And let me tell you something very interesting, Mike. So The Hurt Locker, I don't know what the deal was, but I tried to watch this years ago and just ignored it, fell asleep, was bored to tears. I don't know what it was. I mean, like, I don't even think I got past 5 minutes. I'm like, snore. And then that was it. And I'm just like, how can this be that bad? Like, Catherine Bigelow, the director, won Best Director. This won Best Picture. This is one of the lowest box office earning movies to win Best Picture. I think it made $17 million when it was done. I'm like, that movie's gotta suck because more people should be seeing it if it's actually really good. So when I found it at the swap meet, it was because I feel like somehow there was a second chance that this film needed. And thankfully, this is the stream that gave me that second chance. So I put it in, and guys, I gotta say, this is why I'm kind of putting this. I don't know what it was, but I was riveted. I was completely engaged from the start, like completely engaged. When like you had Memento, Guy Pearce there at the beginning, and they basically he's the Hurt Locker guy first. I was like, oh yeah, Guy Pearce is in this. I didn't know. Oh, hey, Guy Pearce isn't in this anymore.
Yeah,
I was like, how did he get, like, something must have gone maybe through a small opening in the back to, pop his head. But I was like, oh,
was that or just the pressure of it all? Yeah,
yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, that could have been that. Yeah,
he was just too close to it.
And Jeremy Renner comes on. By the way, Mike, to Marvel, you got Hawkeye and the Falcon in this movie, which was kind of hilarious. That
and then the bad guy in Iron Man 3, Guy Pearce. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned that too as the third one. Yeah. So the relationship was super interesting. It makes you wonder why he was so gung ho to dismantle bombs without any care. Just goes for, and gets the job done. He's very good at it. And Anthony Mackie's character, you really like understand why he's like pissed. He's like, you almost got everybody killed. Knock it off. I'm going to take you out. And then there's this great moment later where they find this bunker where they're side by side, and Mackie's on the gun, and Renner's got the eyepiece, and he's the sidekick. He's now taking care. He's there for support. I was like, God, these guys are so good. And just again, one of these things, you don't know what's coming. You don't know who's going to get caught off guard. The guy at the poor guy at the end who wanted the bomb off him because he didn't want to be a human bomb, and they, he just tried everything he could to get it off of him, and they just like run. Like, I don't know. I have no clue why this film turned me off like years ago, but I'm so happy this was a rewatch because at the end I was like, this was really good. Really good. So Mike, thanks for like recommending this back to me so I could find the error in my ways. So
man, I'm glad you like this one. I was a little suspicious at first. I'm like, is Huck gonna like this? I don't know, but I'm happy you did. I mean, best picture.
Yeah, I think it's all the relationships. I think those are the type of films, these war movies that I click with, are sort of these more sort of relationship things that aren't necessarily right in the middle of the war, like say A Quiet Western Front was. That's what I guess appeals to me in these type of movies.
Like you have the kid there that sells the DVDs.
Oh my God! Yeah.
He's like, real Hollywood special effects, man. I get this.
Yeah.
And he's
and then that poor kid.
And all that, and
yeah. That's what I did. I liked it when I first saw it, when it came out for like Best Picture times or whatever. And then like the more I watched it, the more I just loved it and loved it each time. And I love Jeremy Renner's character in it. And like you just find out like his passion. Like he has this ex-wife, I believe, who isn't she the Wasp, if I'm remembering right? Is it Evangeline Lilly?
The Lost Girl?
Oh yes, it is. Oh my God, there's another one for it. Is Evangeline Lilly.
I about that when I watched it last time with my wife because I watched it 4K not that long ago. It's so good. And then the kid, but it's like he obviously loves them and he loves his kid, but like the way it circles back to the countdown of how many days they have at the end, it's like the one thing he truly loves is that, like
being there.
Really loves to do. I was just wondering how it, like, because I remembered you had the wall in Hurt Locker. Did you prefer the wall as one scene or as a whole movie? Because that sniper scene in Hurt Locker, the sniping scene is basically the wall as one scene.
Oh,
I was just curious. I'm like, wait, that's funny. That's like the same thing when I watched it today. And Ray Fiennes being the guy in that scene was great too. Like another surprise cameo you don't expect. And
oh yeah. There's a lot of neat cameos. But yeah, it's like he was saying at the very end. He goes, "Sometimes you only love a couple of things in life."
Mm-hmm.
Then he pauses and says, "And sometimes it's just one."
Yeah.
And then it cuts to like
hard cuts to him. Yeah.
He talks about how, like, when you go back, everyone just wants to hear stories of your war, and all you want to do is not talk about the war. So yeah. So when he went back, it just wasn't. He couldn't make it a happy home, so he's like, "Yep, let's go back." That's what I do.
He's a great character. I really liked him. Like the more I watched it, the more I liked his character.
I'm gonna need to revisit. I haven't seen this movie since like around Oscar time. I got the Steelbook, haven't watched the 4K, so it's been like a decade since I've seen this movie.
Yeah,
I like
probably like it more. It gets better every time you watch it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it wrote me in. I was very happy about that. Yeah, kind of bummed I don't have. Is that a 4K Steelbook or is that just a Blu-ray?
Oh yeah, 4K Steelbook, and it is literally one of the best Steelbooks I've ever seen in my life. Like what they do with the disc on the inside, where they look like what the kid would sell as DVDs. And
does it? Oh, that's great.
And all that. You're like, is this real? Did I get the right movie? Like the Best Buy gypped me or what?
That's like the Borat movie was written on Sharpie. It says Borat on the disc. That's very funny.
It's the same thing as that. Yeah, I laughed when I opened it. Yeah, it's.
But yeah, so yeah, thank you guys. Those were 3 really good movies. The war movies are very emotional to watch.
Yeah, as long as they're good.
They were good.
Sometimes
for me, all 3 were good.
Yeah,
good thing Mike didn't.
I was jealous, especially once I watched The Wall. I was like, yeah, you had a good batch. Because The Wall is probably like the least known of the 3, by easily.
Yeah,
but it's still a solid movie if you haven't seen it. I'm going to pop into the comments quick before we rotate here.
Mm-hmm.
There's my little star.
Well done, guys.
There it is. All right. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? We're doing great. Jim's Movie Channel.
What's up, Jim?
We haven't seen. All Quiet's one of those films that makes you, yeah, right? I'm way beyond losing faith in humanity. I just like to watch well-made movies here on the center. Hey, Tiana. She's here live now. Welcome back. Thanks again. Now that you're here watching. Is anyone here familiar with The Boys and Company C?
No.
I am not. Satiric for that. Oh, I'll have to look that one up. 70s movies are always good. All Everyone's saying hello to everybody. John Doe Juggalos here. How's it going, sir?
Howdy.
What's up,
Thanks for
buddy?
popping in.
What's up, Jeff?
Talking about depressing movies. I hope everyone's enjoying that. I'm like, it's such a great topic, but also sad half the time. Kathy Bigelow won Best Director. Yep, she was married to James Cameron, and she beat James Cameron to win her Oscar. That's the best part.
I know, against Avatar. Shocking.
Because Avatar is so good. Speaking of Avatar being good, Mike, what do you have?
What does that mean? I do like Avatar.
Unrealistic segue.
Segues.
All right. Well, for war movies, I do like. I'm a big history fan. That's one of the subjects I do teach. So war movies, I'm pretty easy on. So unfortunately, no rants tonight. I was disappointed. I wanted a good rant in here, but you guys have got no rants. So we'll get this started here. So at the bottom, of course, kind of expected this one to be at the bottom, but it's okay. Grave of the Fireflies. I needed to watch this one anyway. I had this Blu-ray just waiting around. I'm like, I got to watch this one. My buddy gave this one to me. How to check this one out. But it's a Studio Ghibli film. So it's that animation style, Japanese, right? Anime. And this movie was way different than I was expecting. Like, I thought it was going to deal with the dropping of the atomic bombs. I did not know why I thought that. That's just initially where my mind was going when I heard of this movie. But it's more... I wouldn't even call it, it's not even a war action movie. Like, you're not really into the heart of war action. You basically have war stuff going around where it's air raids happening. And then you have these two siblings right here, a big brother and a little sister right there, where the story's just about them surviving, just living their daily life, trying to make it by while these air raids happen. Like, an alarm will sound and it's like, okay, we got to go hide, let the air raid go by, and then we can leave and do whatever. Their mom passes away at one point, so that's pretty sad, but he's keeping away from the little sibling. And yeah, like I said, they're just trying to make by. They're going to, trying to find food because starvation. It's hard to get food during war times. So he's like raiding farms, and farmer gets mad at him and like attacks him and stuff. But that's literally what the movie is. There's not a lot of excitement to the movie, in my opinion, not a lot of entertainment. It's really just on the relationship, which is okay. I expected that, Tim.
I told you.
I know. That doesn't make it bad. That doesn't make it bad. It's just not like super entertaining, which is totally fine. It's really just on their relationship. So, right, emotional heartstrings being pulled. There's a tragedy at the end. So it does get really sad in that regard, but kind of what it is. The animation is pretty cool. There's not too much to it. I don't know. Tim, you hyped this one up. What do you got here?
I said it's a great movie. I love it. I would have never recommended it to you.
Absolutely.
Mike recommended to himself, essentially.
I needed to watch it anyway. So
Mike, you rant on yourself.
Yeah, he's like, I have it, Tim. You could recommend it to me. I don't know if you'll actually like this. Oh, I want to watch it. Okay, I guess. Honestly, it's war in connection. It's taking place during World War II. It's firebombs going on in Japan, but it's nice to see. It's a terribly sad movie, but it's getting that civilian human connection, which is lost in a lot of war movies. Right. This was never meant to be boom, boom, guns and bombs. It's the human civilian connection. And I think it's remarkable. I think it's terribly sad. I never thought it was your type of movie. So it being third is about par for what I was expecting. Yep. I would have never given this to you otherwise.
So this is your Strays. This is your Strays, man. You're gonna hate this.
No, it's not on that level. It's not a bad movie. It's not like a Black Sheep where it's just not good. No, this is a solid movie. I would give this one a score of 3. Very watchable.
Oh, I forgot to score my movies.
Yeah.
I thought that too, but we're too far down.
Real quick.
We'll go ahead and finish scoring that, and then I'll score.
Yeah, so a solid 3, very watchable, especially if you're into anime and war movies. But I wouldn't rewatch it, so I can't give it above a 3. But most movies, like I said, will get a 3 from me, so that's fine. There we go. Oh, recommendation though, because Tim did recommend on my behalf. I will give the 4 a recommendation. Yep. 4
Tim recommended on my behalf.
Wait a minute. So you're kind of giving yourself a 4. All right. Let's see how that goes.
I mean, at least it wasn't a 5.
I needed to watch it. It was in my pile. It was gonna happen. So it's a good recommendation right there. Very good.
I legit did want to like actually think of something, a legit recommendation, but you really seem to want to watch it. So it's
I wanted to watch it. I was very happy I watched it the one time.
He's like, now I can burn it.
Right.
No, God,
it's
not that. It's not bad. Oh my God, people don't get 3s are good scores for me.
But it's in your sellback pile. Let's be honest. Come on.
No, it's not going to get sold.
After you just said you'll never watch it again. Come on.
Only 2s and 1s get sold. It's not bad. It's not offensively bad. You know.
It's not bad. It's just not Mike. That's the way to word it.
All right, here.
All my friends are like, it's the most sad movie I've ever seen. I'm like, that sounds fun.
Well, you know what? That was the problem. That was the real problem. It didn't get me crying. Like, if you get me crying in a movie, then you automatically get a 5 from me. But it's very hard to do that. I've only cried on a handful of movies, right? It's no Collateral Beauty. So because it didn't get me to that crying point, and that's really what the focus of the movie is, relationship dramas. Let's try to get you to cry, because it didn't get me there. That's why it has to be a 3. Yeah.
Children dying mean nothing, and Mike, fuck those children.
Yeah.
They both love movies with children. Wonderful. All right.
All right, I'll rate mine real quick, Mike, before you get to your next one.
Yep.
So, All Quiet, I'd say it's I just do 3 across the board. So I think it's a 3 rating, 3 movie, good solid thing. The other 2, I think, are 4 on recommendations, and I mean, maybe even both. I might give them both 5s, because, like I said, they were just so good. So, well done, y'all.
Nice.
All right, Mike.
All right, next up here, we will have Black Hawk Down in the fancy 4K steelbook. So,
nice.
Yeah, happy I picked up this steelbook, by the way. There's a cool bonus disc in there with a lot of special features. But the movie itself, you got an all-star cast here. You guys can shout out some names, because I'm not going to say them all, but we got Orlando Bloom in there. We got Tom Hardy. We got Josh Hartnett. Tom Sizemore. And then Eric Bana. And a whole bunch of more people. There's a ton of people in this one. So a lot of people in this one. But this is about the Battle of Mogadishu, I think it is, where it's in Somalia. Basically, what happens is there's a warlord in Somalia that's using fear tactics against the people. He's making people starve, a lot of malnutrition there. I mean, it's really tough to watch some of these scenes to see how just the people are so skinny because of their starvation. So UN centers are set up there where they distribute food, but then, of course, the warlord wants to get the food to feed his cronies, and so then the army has to be there to make sure that stuff doesn't happen. And then eventually the army goes on a mission to try to get, I think, some higher ups, like right under the warlord, to try to get to the warlord eventually to take him out and all that. But this is where the problem starts, where basically you have these what are they called? Blackhawks. That's what they're called. Name of the movie. Helicopters that are on this mission, and then one gets shot, and then spiraling out of control and crashes. That's why it's called Black Hawk Down. Then also that happens to another helicopter as well. So it's like 2 Black Hawks down, and they're just trying to survive. But it gets crazy. Like, at first I'm like, oh, this movie is kind of boring. Hopefully it picks up. But this movie, when it picks up, it picks up. It is crazy with the action. Like, you can tell Ridley Scott directing here. I think this is on a level of Saving Private Ryan, where it gets so bloody and gory, so many shots being fired. I mean, at one point, it feels like a zombie apocalypse movie where you have all these people in Somalia just rushing at these Black Hawks to try to get these soldiers, and there's just so many of them. It's like a horde of zombies. It is crazy. And this action goes for a long time. I'm like, how's this movie so long? Like, the action keeps going and keeps going. And these army soldiers are just trying to survive here until backup gets there, until they can get a convoy inbound, and they keep radioing, and they're like, we can't send a convoy yet, all this stuff. And it's just basically that struggle. I would say Josh Hartnett's character gets the most screen time. At least he felt like one of the majority focus of the movie.
The lead, if you want to pick one,
I would pick him as the lead, but he's great in the movie. Josh Hartnett's great in everything. They need to put that guy in every single movie from now on. But he's awesome there. Like I said, the rest of the cast is great as well. But very intense, tons of action. Finally, somebody recommended me an action war movie. Thank goodness. I'm like, where's all my action war movies? Because I saved this one for the very end. I'm like, okay, cool. Now we got some action. So very entertaining in that regards. And it was interesting to learn about this battle because I had no idea about this battle. It was very low key. Well, I became alive after the point, so that's probably why. There was, I think, 92, 93 was happening. So I wasn't around for that. Obviously, I didn't hear about this battle. So to go back and learn about this part of the war, fascinating, very fascinating. And then diving into the special features, oh my gosh, where they had like full-on documentaries of the war and all of this. And this movie's based on a book somebody wrote. And like the person that wrote the book, like actually went to Somalia to do this research. And it was very dangerous. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like history fascination right here. So yes, Black Hawk Down, very solid. Should I score these before you guys jump in on this? Or you guys,
whatever you want to do, yeah. Doesn't change your answer probably.
All right, I'll give it a score. Ooh, man. Very tough. At first, it would have been a 3, but then it picks up with the action. Like I said, Saving Private Ryan level, I'm going to have to go a 4 on this one. I would rewatch this one for the action, absolutely. So 4 for it. And a recommendation, I would give a 4 as well, because I kind of picked this one for myself too. So good job on me for doing that. Yeah.
I thought I took a part in that one, but okay.
Are you noticing a theme here?
Right.
Well, I really wanted to see this one. I just
join us next time when Mike gives us all his own movies.
Well, I threw it out there. This is one I haven't seen. It's one I really wanted to see. You know,
yeah, I'm surprised you had
to under my radar. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it in its entirety probably since I saw it in theaters. I think I saw it in theaters 2 times. I don't think I've watched it.
Wasn't this another one of those weird situations where Ridley Scott, it was nominated for Best Picture, and he was once again not nominated as Best Director for this?
No, he was nominated for Best Director, but it wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
Okay, so it's the opposite of Gladiator. So
yeah,
because Gladiator, he wasn't.
They had to make it up to him for Gladiator the year before.
Yeah.
Like, such a great director. Like every time I see one of his movies, I'm like, this movie is excellent. Yeah, it's fantastic.
He's more often than not good. That's for sure. But yeah, Black Hawk Down's a solid one. Yeah, that's a great. I didn't know Tom Hardy was in that. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think it was his first role, wasn't it?
Last time I saw it, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah,
it's like Vin Diesel and Private Ryan.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, that guy's gonna go somewhere.
I saw him in Band of Brothers, and they're like, "Oh, get that guy. He has nice lips." And then they hired Tom Hardy.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you liked it. It's been a while since I've seen it too, but yeah, that's what I remember too. Is it picks up heavily in the second half, and it, cool.
Tim, did you like that one?
Yeah, I said it in our group chat, but I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember liking it. There's action, stuff happens. I can't go into. I don't remember details enough. It's been 15 years at least.
Yeah, I remember like screenshots in my brain of it, and that's about it.
Yeah,
and who's in it, kind of.
Yeah.
All right then. So we're moving on to number 1. Congratulations, Derek. Rescue Dawn.
I knew you'd like this one. This was an actual recommendation.
Yeah, and I knew nothing of this title. I didn't even know the name, nothing about this one. But wow, what a great recommendation here. And it really isn't a war movie. It's in a war setting and related to war. But once again, when I think war movies, I start thinking action war movies like, Black Hawk Down. Action, very action heavy. This really isn't that. This is a prison escape movie. I guess more so like The Great Escape, but it's in a war setting. So what happens? You got Christian Bale, yes, the Batman actor, who's on his first mission. He has his first flight. He's an aviator for the Navy. And he's on his first flight, and 40 minutes into his first mission ever, he gets shot down. Like the worst luck in the world, right? Like, oh my gosh, what a bad day. First day on the job. So he gets shot down, and he gets shot down in Laos. So this is the beginnings of the Vietnam War, if I remember correctly. But he gets taken as a prisoner of war. And that's really what the whole movie is. He's in this prison camp, and he's thinking about, how do I get out of this mess? What can I do to kind of, get these handcuffs off, escape? And there's other actors in this movie. What's his name? He's the shoveler, right? In Mystery Men. I think
William H. Macy.
Is it? Oh no, he looks like him. No, he looks like him. Who's the other guy? Who's the main guy? His
Steve
buddy.
Zahn, you're talking about?
Yes. Okay, they look very
Zahn's
similar.
great in that movie.
Yeah, they look
so
similar. Steve Zahn is very good in this one. He's like his buddy at the camp, and he is pretty much working with him, and he buys into the idea of eventually escaping with him as well. And then you got what's his name, Jeremy Davies.
Yeah, Jeremy Davies is great too.
He's the more loony one. You can tell the hunger and just being a prisoner of war really has set in, and he does not want to escape. He's like, I'm going to tell everybody if you guys try to escape and all this. But yeah, that's really pretty much the plot of the movie. They're just thinking of ways to get out of this camp, escape, get home. But yeah, it's really good for a prison escape movie, and it ends pretty happy, at least for one of the characters. What happened to the buddy kind of shocked me a little bit. I'm like, what the heck did that just happen to that guy? I felt bad for him.
Oh god, it comes out of nowhere too.
I know, it was like, okay, what's gonna happen right now? I'm like, these are just farmers. They're probably gonna be nice, get you guys some food for the road, and they were not. They were not so nice, unfortunately. But yeah, very good movie. I like this one quite a bit.
Yeah, great movie. I'm actually kind of surprised that that's number one for some reason. I didn't expect that. But
I like prison escape movies, you know. Prison Break.
It has a happy ending. That's why I knew he'd like it.
Felt like.
It has that every happy American ending, sort of.
Happy, solid ending.
And it's a true story, which is awesome. He's playing a real guy. So
yeah,
exactly.
Unlike all the movies I had.
No, it's not. I kind of wondered though at the beginning because the other side gave him this option of signing a paper saying like they were attacking the country and all this stuff. I wonder what would have happened if he did sign that. Like, would they really have released him a couple weeks later, or would he still go to the war camp?
No, they would have thrown him. Everyone else there signed the paper except for
him.
Okay. They talk about it, and they're like, "Yeah, he's like, you didn't sign that." Then like, you did, yeah. So it's like they would have thrown.
Like they would have been there anyway. Oh man,
and they wanted them to denounce America, but he refused to do that. Christian Bale was ridiculous in these times. This was like his weight loss and gain for roles back then. I just had to bring it up because it's insane.
Yeah.
When he was in The Machinist, he was like 130 pounds, if that. And he was eating like a can of tuna a day and an apple and smoking a lot. And then he gained 100 pounds of muscle to play Batman. And then the year after that, he lost 40 pounds to do this. And then he gained back all the muscle again the year after that to do Dark Knight. It's like, God, he's going to kill himself.
It was wild. They were all super skinny. And it just brought home like the atrocities of war. They were torturing this guy in the most terrible ways at the beginning. And then at the war camp, they weren't really feeding them at all. A little rice here and there. Sometimes it was like they were out of rice. So you get these bugs to eat.
They'd give them maggots instead of rice, and then they'd eat. Yeah. No one else would eat them but Christian Bale because he was trying to, he would save his rice in his like canteen, right? So he would have it when
he would escape.
That way they'd have to eat as they left.
Yeah, and then how they like made them sleep at night, like they were locked up and like tied with each other in a way where they couldn't get out. So he had to find a way to like pick out the lock so they could at least have some breathing space at night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the scene in Deer Hunter because there was a similar thing when they're in a prison camp and that. It's like the whole movie's kind of like that scene. It's like the wall to that scene in the Hurt Locker.
Yeah, just having conversations at the war camp, thinking, okay, how do we get out of this? Yeah.
Counting the guards and how many there are in their rotation and like planning how to leave. It's a great movie. I've watched it a handful of times. And just it's a good true like person to person war movie. It's not just like inspired by a person. He's like literally playing that exact person who survived. Yeah. So that's why I like that one a lot. And I'm just a Christian Bale nut. And I love Steve Zahn and he's outstanding.
Oh, he's so good. And Jeremy Davies does his part perfectly.
Oh yeah, like, he's so crazy. He's like Charles Manson in that movie. He's also in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, so I would give this one what I say. Yeah, recommendation here. Oh, I can't put it out of 5. I rarely give 5s to the movie, so it will be a 4. Very good for me. And I will go recommendation. I don't know. We'll go a 4 on that as well. Yeah.
Okay. I figured you'd like that one. I was glad you didn't see it yet. All right, I'm gonna pop back into the comments real quick. before we forget to do other things. Where's my star? There she is. Not Tiana, but she's a star too. We all love her. Yeah, Black Hawk Down is great. I was like you. I was like, I don't remember this movie being 2.5 hours long last time I watched it.
Oh yeah, such a long, and they could have cut out like a half an hour of the beginning. Like, let's go, let's get to that.
The part with the story.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch Black Hawk Down. Hey, Caprice. Yes, her favorite club.
Hello, Caprice.
Tim responds to pretty much every movie. There's action, stuff happens. Yay, movies. And Huck thought that was funny. Yeah, if you haven't heard of, well, click again. There we go. If you haven't heard of Rescue Dawn, fix that and go watch it because it's fantastic.
And you don't even have to really be in like I said, a war action mood. Like that's not what this movie is. So
yeah, it's like a prison drama that happens to be at a war in Vietnam. Hey, Grant popped in as soon as I was about to do another.
Well, hello, Grant.
Thank you for your service. Nice, thank you. I haven't heard of that one. Good to know. Have you guys seen that one? Any of you?
No.
Nope.
We'll have to Google that later. We'll IMDb that for you.
Go to Tubi.
I'll go back to Pluto and watch 17 hours of commercials. So
3-hour version.
All right, Timothy.
Come on, Tim.
Let's do this.
So we are all over the map here. So to start off with, I would have never expected the first movie here, the bottom of the three, to be a Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah, I knew it.
I would have never expected. But I watched Heartbreak Ridge for the first time. I like Clint Eastwood, so when Huck threw this one out, I was for it. I like Clint. This movie is kind of like Full Metal Jacket, where it's a big chunk of the training them and then the war stuff towards the back half. The main problem is I didn't give a shit about anybody. I tried, and a big part of this could be I watched this right after another one of the recommendations, and that just couldn't get out of my mind. But I was having a really hard time getting into the groove of this one. Clint gives off a lot of funny one-liners, and he's tough, macho guy, Clint Eastwood. He does a good job at being like a Lee or Emery from Full Metal Jacket. Like he's good at being that hard ass to make the guys better type of character. But I just didn't care. It takes place in the early 80s, and it's the lead up to the invasion of Grenada. And they even get towards the end, and I'm like, okay, maybe the invasion of Grenada will kind of make me care a little bit more. And there's something about between Clint's direction and the score choice where I felt like I was watching an A-Team episode of doing the invasion of Grenada. It's so weird. The invasion's going on, and it's like dun dun dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Mr. P shows up.
I could not get into literally anything about this movie, and I was shocked. I'm looking at April. I'm like, this is Clint Eastwood. Like, I'm expecting to at least like this movie. And this might be one of, if not like my least favorite Clint Eastwood movies. And I didn't see that coming.
So did it break your heart, Tim? You broke your heart on this one.
Kinda.
I'm glad I walked the wall over this. Happy to know.
It's just if the Grenada invasion was better, I might have liked it a little bit more. But we're talking only like the last 20 minutes. And I swear to God, watch it. And you're going to get that like TV feeling of like an A-Team or something like that. It's so bizarre. I don't know.
That's funny.
He made interesting choices in the direction of that movie. I'm sorry, Huck.
No,
he wasn't quite there yet in his directing game.
Well, so that the audience understands how this movie came to be the pick. Tim is very hard because he's seen so many, but I've seen so few. So I just made a list of all the things I had seen, and this happened to be somewhere in the middle. And he goes, "Oh, I hadn't seen Heartbreak Ridge." I'm like, "All right, take it." I literally, and even said, I don't remember it being that good, but you haven't seen it, so let's go. And yeah, so he's pretty much, I think, saying everything. I knew it was going to be at the bottom, but I didn't have much to pick from for Tim. So I'm sorry I didn't have enough good shit for you to pick from. But
man, I'm shocked. I'll defend this one.
I have it in my Clint Eastwood set. I'm like, I have Heartbreak Ridge. I could try to cram that in this week. And then I was like looking at it on IMDb, and it has like a 50 on Metacritic, which is bad. Out of 100, if you don't know. And I was like, oh wow, maybe I don't care.
Wow. I like
so did you not watch it? Derek, did you not watch it then?
I did. I watched The Wall because it was a little shorter and it was just easier to watch.
Probably I would take this all day over The Wall. I thought this had more to it, more than a wall. There was like other stuff in there.
More than a wall?
No, but there was a lot of characters, and Tim was right on the money with Full Metal Jacket. It was the good part of Full Metal Jacket, where it's the more of the training camp stuff. I like movies like that. I thought that was awesome. And I like seeing Clint Eastwood younger. I don't think I've seen a movie where he was like this kind of like middle age. So that was fascinating. I thought it was really good here. There's like a romance going on. I'm a sucker for romance stuff. So that was fantastic. There's a lot going on in this movie. I'm surprised. I like the music. I thought the music was like fun. Like, let's go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I'm like, this battle at the end is really cool.
I should have recommended this to Mike.
I mean, it's not the best thing I've ever seen, but better than The Wall.
Like I said, I mention a lot. Like, score is a big thing to me. It's one of my favorite things in movies, and a score can make me love a movie. But if a score feels very misplaced, like in Invasion or War, doesn't the musical theme felt, like I said, like A-Team-ish in its approach, and kind of makes it feel more slapsticky than it should be. I just and all the boot camp stuff, like I said, Clint had really good one-liners, but I couldn't get invested in like any of the characters. Like, I didn't care. And he did some crazy shit that would never he was firing live rounds at his fucking platoon. Like, live rounds. I'm like, what the fuck?
He was trying to trade them. He was like, let's go. This is serious, this war.
That would never.
But that's how they painted him at the beginning, that he was very rogue and that this was kind of his last chance to do his thing before he retires. I thought they developed that well enough.
Yeah. And you're court-martialed.
And there were so many good scenes, like all the fighting scenes where he takes out the giant buff guy, because at first they don't like him. They don't want him to be the platoon leader. They're like, oh, let's get this other buff guy to come in and take, and Clint Eastwood's him. This is awesome. And then there's another fight at the end against a rival platoon group. I loved it. You guys are slacking on me now.
No, I'm glad
I'm going to get Clint Eastwood in here to train you guys now. We're going to start our platoon.
He's like 95 years old.
This is standing to the test of generally, if Mike likes it, I don't, or vice versa.
So actually, we're on brand here, y'all. We're good.
It all comes back into place.
Never stop, never stopping, to quote Pop Star.
Yeah, right.
So, like, recommendation wise, it's a 3 because it's Clint Eastwood. It blew my mind that I didn't like this movie. A 1's too low, but it's like a 2, and I have no interest in owning this or rewatching this or fucking glancing at the cover of it. Like, I just
the poster's so ugly. You want the poster
glancing at the cover, not even looking at it. Just oh god, glance.
Oh my gosh!
Wow,
that's funny.
So
I'm glad I have it in a set of good movies that I could watch.
Take it on the chin, Hook.
All right. So next one up is a movie from Mike called Land of Bad. Dumb as hell name.
What? I'm sure Badland was already taken. They have to work with what they got.
But all right. So this movie, this felt like Lone Survivor, and I don't know if anyone ever saw the movie Eye in the Sky with Helen Mirren. It's about drone operators.
Oh, no.
It felt like those two movies kind of mashed together. We have one of the several Hemsworths is the drone. What do you call him? Like, he's the one that coordinates in the field with the drone operator, and it pulls like a lone survivor. They're on a mission, and most of the team, KIA type situation, and it's the drone operators helping him get out of the danger zone. Super straightforward story. Russell Crowe is the one drone operator that talks with them. Russell Crowe is good. Hemsworth is adequately in the movie. It's action packed. Like, I get why Mike gave this. It's fine. It was entertaining enough. I didn't hate my time with it. It didn't stick with me. I don't care that much. It was a movie. I watched it.
It was a movie.
It's fine. It was adequate, but it did commit one of my biggest pet peeves in a movie. If a movie establishes a time frame, and I'm talking specifically, like they mention an exact time frame, or it's that ticking time clock, and an absurd amount of stuff happens in that time clock, it takes me right out of it. So, like, in the end of the movie, there's supposed to be he called in 3 drone strikes actually coming by jet that were supposed to be getting progressively closer to the target zone. They're set at 15-minute intervals from each other. And the first bits that are going, okay, I can believe that this is happening in the 15-minute intervals, whatever. But now Hemsworth's character finds himself in the compound that's getting bombed in the last one of the intervals. And he's trying to call this off. They've got stuff squared away. He doesn't want to get bombed to get blown up. So he's going to call Russell Crowe's character. He can't get through. It ends up, it's 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Actually, it's 3 minutes left to the bomb getting dropped. He finally gets through to Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is at the grocery store at this time. And he's running out of the grocery store. And I actually took a picture of the screen. It pops across the screen. 1 minute and 30 seconds left until the bomb is going to drop on Hemsworth's character. And keep in mind, Russell Crowe is running out of a grocery store with 1 minute and 30 seconds. He makes his way from the front door of the grocery store to his car through a parking garage onto the street, waits at a fucking stoplight.
Oh my God.
Then he decides I'm just gonna blow through the stoplight, makes it to the front gate, a fucking closed gate to this military complex, gets through the gate, drives in, parks the fucking car, closes his door.
Oh my God.
Building and stops the strike from happening in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
No. That
idiot that wrote this screenplay was like, dude, that makes a lot of sense. This could totally happen. That took me out of everything.
Yeah.
I was, and the thing is, nothing about the story required them to put that type of time limit. They wrote that time limit in because, oh, this is suspenseful if I make it really short. You made it so absurdly short, you just took me out of the fucking story. If you made this like it's like 7 minutes to go, I could be like, okay, maybe the complex is pretty damn close to the grocery store and he could make it. 1 minute 30. Come on.
Yeah.
Absurdly dumb.
They should have gone the other way and just made it even longer, where he's like dropping his key.
Right.
The car, where it's like dun, 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 dun.
It's on the back side of the grocery store. You just
like
had to go
McDonald's.
around the back of the grocery store. Oh, there's the place.
Stop
Dude, I'm with you though.
McDonald's,
That drives me crazy when people artificially give a time and it takes obviously way too long. Yeah, I think that would kill me.
And then it'll come back to it, and it'll clicking down from 90 seconds to 1 minute and 29 seconds when he gets there.
Yeah.
10 minutes later.
I actually had to. I voice messaged Bob after because I knew Bob saw this, and I sent like a 4 minute, like 4 voice messages worth of a rant. I'm like, the dude that wrote this movie is an idiot. Like, he just completely killed all suspense. Like, once you run into that stuff, it just takes you right out of the movie. Like, even if you're into it at that time, your mind is like, this makes no sense. This is dumb as hell.
Yeah.
So all suspense completely shot. So the big pivotal moment's like, meh, whatever.
That's also bad editing and bad directing too, because the editor and the director should be able to.
It didn't have to be the screenwriter.
Yeah, because he could have easily left the grocery store, and the edit could have been him pulling up and getting out of the car. Like that's all you need. Like and you'll have to just assume it's around the corner. Like it's 30 seconds around the corner. But to have all those obstacles, as a filmmaker, I hate that stuff.
That's funny.
Boo.
Boo editing.
I didn't even see it. Now I'm not gonna.
It's an entertaining movie, though. Like, you're not going to be bored with this one. So I would recommend it. Yes, the timing is the worst part. And they did not need a timer in this movie at all. Because I think it also flashes the timer pretty frequently, right? And isn't it random times? Like 5:53. I'm like, what the heck? Now we're putting like really specific numbers?
Yeah.
Like, who does that? Like, let's give 30-minute intervals or something out. It was weird. So that part was really weird. But if you take that out of it, because that stuff doesn't usually take me out of a movie personally, the rest of it's quite entertaining. The Hemsworths are really good in this one, but Russell Crowe, that's what you watch the movie for. Russell Crowe gives, I think, probably my favorite performance here. He's just so into wanting to get these people safe. Like, he will not leave his desk. At one point, they have to come by and like, dude, you got to leave. You've been here like 12 hours or something. Like, it's time to rotate you. He's like, no, I got to finish this. So he has that kind of personality where he's like, he has to get it done. He has to get it done. I'm like, man, I can relate to that. I'm like, I like to be on top of my stuff too. Like, let's go. So I love that part of the movie. And then I do like the obstacles at the end, besides having the ridiculous time. The obstacles were pretty suspenseful in itself. And I love the ending where he just comes in and because all the other people there aren't like picking up the phone when he's calling in. They're watching TV and sports. And then he comes in and he's so pissed at them at that. He breaks their TV. He's like, we got to do our job. Like, let's go and do what we're supposed to do here. I love that. That part was so impactful for me. So I really like the story overall. I mean, you remove the timer, very solid, entertaining story for the most part. Not great, but solid enough. Not terrible by any means. I'm just happy it wasn't last. Like, I thought this one was going to be last. So for you, I'll take middle all day on this one.
That's pretty good.
You're on point with Russell Crowe, though. He is the best part about it.
Oh, it's so good.
Best part. Hemsworth was just there. I would have rather if this was Chris Hemsworth, I think, because I like Chris
the good one
more.
Yeah, there was two Hemsworths in this one. Wasn't there? The other two Hemsworths, yeah.
Yeah, Luke Hemsworth is, I mean...
Oh, he's in it too? That's
yeah,
fine.
he's just there for, I don't know, 15 minutes.
They're like, we can't get the main Hemsworth. Let's call the other ones, pay them less.
You get two for the price of one if you get the other one.
That's like ending up with Stephen Baldwin because you couldn't get Alec or any of the other ones.
Or you get Billy because you couldn't afford Steven, even worse.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So recommendation wise, I guess I'll give it a 3. I will say I would prefer less new movie recommendations if possible. 2 of my recommendations happen to be like brand new movies. So if possible, a little less of those.
See, I gave you the old one, but it sucked though. So what are you gonna do?
I gave you one I knew you'd like. Sorry.
No, it's not always a winner.
I don't know. I would just prefer a little bit more variety of than just like I keep feeling like I'm watching 2024, 3, 2, 1, like one early brand new movies. Just
recommend him things he owns but hasn't watched. That's my favorite.
But anyways, movie wise, it's also I'll give it a 3. Like I said, I didn't hate my time with it. It's adequate. Just that time limit thing just snapped me out of the movie. But it's adequate. It
is a film.
Then we will move on to Derek's recommendation, Zone of Interest. I don't know if I could fully unpack this movie in a stream. So right off the bat, I am going to say Derek gave me the best recommendation I've gotten on this stream at all. This movie impacted me so much, and I'm going to be thinking about this movie for a long time. So Huck, you know how what you didn't like about All Quiet? Yeah. Zone of Interest has that in spades. Don't touch it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it and you don't like All Quiet, yeah, what Tim said.
No, I mean, I never said I didn't like it. I said I liked it. The reason it was third is because of those elements. But I completely liked the movie.
But Zone of Interest, what All Quiet made you feel in the atrocities of what we've, as a species, have committed to each other. Oh my God, Zone of Interest. Like I said, I've been trying all day to compose myself to think of like how I want to talk about this movie. The entire movie is taking place. So it's following Rudolf Haas, who is in charge of, he's the commandant of Auschwitz, and it's following his family, who their house is immediately next to the camp. But the entire movie is, in their perspective, 95% of it in their house, in their complex, only occasional going down to like the river or something. You don't see a single frame like of what's happening inside of the actual camp. Yeah. And that made the movie 10 times more impactful. I felt like the sound design in this movie is outstanding. You're seeing these awful people just carrying on with their mundane life, listening to screams and gunshots going off in the background. You're seeing the clouds of ash coming up through the pipes of the incinerator. And they're just carrying on like it's nothing. They're talking about the Jewish people like they're cattle. It is disgusting, disturbing, and it's going to honestly, like, this movie has moments where the screen is just black. Like, movie ends with, it's like a minute and a half or 2 minutes of just black with the music going, and it's to have you reflect on what the hell you just watched. And like, this will stick with me. I don't know how many times I will watch it because of how just oh my God. My wife and we're just looking at each other like, what the fuck? The most mundane things they're doing. There's a scene where the commandant is sorting through a bunch of money, and they're not telling you the type, like the reasons behind stuff. You're just seeing them sort different countries' money, and your mind is like, oh my God, that's just money that they took from the different Jewish people from all the countries that they've taken them from. Just little mundane things that they're doing. He takes his boots off before getting into the house, and one of the camp workers that is assigned to help at the house takes the boots and washes them, and you just see the red water going down the drain. So it's all these little things that you know what's happening, but you don't see it, and your mind is just filling it in, and it's fucking terrible. I seriously, this movie like made me want to cry at the end. And I watched Heartbreak Ridge after, which like part of Heartbreak Ridge, me not liking it as much is because this movie just hit me in like such a way. It's fascinating that these people, it's hard to even call them people. Like the way they treated the Jewish people like they were cattle. It was just, oh my God. Luckily that Adolf Haas was hung in 1947 because he fucking deserved it. Yeah, it is awful. But Derek knew exactly the type of movie I look for. Like this was Tim in spades. Would I say this is a recommendation type of movie to people? Not necessarily. You have to be in the right mental frame. You have to know what you're getting into. Right. But me, this was totally a Tim movie, like in every possible way. I thought this was, I would have been cheering for this thing for Best Picture if I watched it last year. Do you have anything to add, Derek? Because like I said, this movie really.
I mean, yeah, you're putting it into, that's what this is. But yeah, I know it's all the subtle stuff you just notice that's happening in the background. Yeah, like the little worker who comes and cleans their boots. They bring the laundry. The mom is sorting through the laundry because they stole it from all the prisoners, and they're like, "Oh, this one's nice." Blah blah blah. It's like a fashion show to them, but it's horrible. And then the one of the sons has a tooth collection. That was an interesting touch. Yeah, the sound design, like you said, is amazing. And yes, that was my favorite Oscar win of the year, was when Zone of Interest beat Oppenheimer for best sound, and I was rooting for it.
So let me also definitely anyone mute if you didn't see it and you don't want to hear anything on the end right now. But so the end of this movie, I was not expecting this, but the Rudolf Haas was assigned away from Auschwitz and then gets reassigned to go back to Auschwitz because they're bringing in 700,000 Jews from Hungary to exterminate. And he's walking down this spiral staircase that's getting darker and darker as he's going down. And he starts kind of like retching like he's going to puke.
Yeah, it's like dry heaving, yeah.
Yeah. And then it gets to another point. He walks down the next flight and does it again. And then the movie cuts. And it cuts to now, modern day. And it shows the workers at the actual Auschwitz camp, like it as a museum now, cleaning and preparing for the day. And you're just seeing all the different, the impact of what they did to the Jewish people there. You're seeing the piles of shoes from people that they've taken off and behind the glass. Like all of this is just, it just freaking hits you. Like I tear my eye as I'm watching this stuff. And then it cuts back to that Rudolf Haas, and he's like staring into the camera, and he leaves the ending kind of, it's up to you to determine. Like I was reading, some people were thinking the dry heaving was the effects of the ash from the people, which it could be, or it could be him morally coming to kind of a realization on where he is in history, what he's done, you know, kind of just that epiphany. But then he just starts walking back down the spiral staircase into blackness, and the movie ends in just pure black, and you just there to think about it for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's
a hoot and a half. It was my hoot and a half of the year.
It's fantastic, but
yeah, it's something everyone needs to watch, but they won't want to. That's how I describe it perfectly, I would say. It's like, you need to see this movie. You probably won't be happy you watched it, but you need to watch it.
It's not one of those entertainment value movies. It's the emotional side of it. Like it's an important film, I feel. It's so good.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like it might not be entertaining, obviously, but the way it's made, it's so interesting just visually, and like what's happening. And like you were saying at the end with the dry heaving thing, how it cuts to now, and it's like the whole movie is this family doing horrible things as if it's whatever, like they know what they're doing, it's their job, that's really all it is to them. And then it cuts to modern day Auschwitz with the people cleaning up Auschwitz because it's whatever, it's their job. It's like this juxtaposition where it's like the same thing happening, but from the polar opposite sides of the scenario, which I thought was interesting. And the music's really good. There's only like 10 minutes of music in the whole thing, and it's just like the beginning, middle, and end, I think, is all it is. It's only when the screen is like black it has music, and it's just haunting.
Yeah
it's just beautiful. Like everything about it just looks, the set direction is great. Like Tim said, they don't show inside of the camp. I think they kind of show they showed like one shot from the inside of the camp, I think, in the entire movie.
Is that are you talking about the one where they're like aiming up at the guy though? Like you're not.
Yeah, they're looking up at him, so you still don't see anything. You just see him. You just know he's there. But it's so well done. Yeah.
I cannot wait to see I want to watch all the special features. Like I just want to dive into it. They wanted to film in actual Rudolf Haas's house, but because it's a protected site and they can't do any fixing up, they couldn't.
Sure.
But they filmed in a house very close, and I want to see like how close is that actual Auschwitz in the background in scenes, or is it CGI? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know where the set was in comparison, but the movie they didn't utilize like studio lighting or anything like that. Like they set up cameras around the house, and it's mostly based off of actual lighting, like natural lighting. So there's these couple of scenes of this girl like leaving apples so that the Jewish people can find them to have something to eat, and those are filmed with like thermal vision.
Yeah, it's like night vision.
Yeah, because they weren't using studio lights, so it was a way to still show what was happening. I thought it was super interesting the way they filmed that.
Yeah, that's cool. It's interesting to see, but it's one of the explanations of why they did it that way. Other than natural light reasons, was because they're showing like the only good things that are happening during this have to happen in the cover of night for them to get away with it. Basically, it's like this little girl's the one good thing that's going on is her, and she has to do it in pitch black darkness to get away with it.
Yep.
Sad.
Okay. Anyone? Huck, you didn't see it, so
No, I didn't see it.
And
I
you really
can share
want
my thoughts real quick if you guys want.
Go
I'm kind of in line with everybody here, though. To me, very informative movie, very important. Everybody should see it at least once in your life. But once again, like you guys said, it's not very entertaining. It did put me to sleep the first time I was trying to watch it, like way late at night. But then I went back and watched the rest of it. But yeah, sound design, excellent. Visually stunning. Direction, perfect. Like, I don't know how else you could tell this story in a more entertaining way. Like, with the premise you're going with, I think they did the absolute best they could. Once again, it's the premise they went with. So just know what you're getting into. The ending I thought was perfect. Like, that is the gut-wrenching part. That's where you get choked up. And oh my gosh, yeah. It's a movie that would stay with me, but I wouldn't rewatch it just because it doesn't have the entertainment value. But watch it at least once. Just know what you're getting into. Oh, but some weird things in there, though, that kind of threw me off where I'm like, oh, this feels like was it an A24 film? No, right? But it kind of felt like it was. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Like when they go into like the shadow realm. I know I call it shadow realm where it's all dark, and you guys know what I'm talking about. That part.
The thermal vision, night vision thing.
Yes. I'm like, oh, okay, this is really interesting, very artistic. That part kind of was losing me because I'm not like into the artsy stuff like that with A24 when they go that direction. But I still thought it was really interesting, and I haven't really seen that much used in a movie. So, yeah, definitely an interesting movie. I can see why it was nominated for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of my favorites from last year, easily. You should watch it, Huck. Just maybe not today.
Yeah.
maybe give it a minute. Like all these other war movies
right there, though.
Well, it's only an hour 45, so that's not.
It's not very long. Yeah, that's the one. That's the
saving grace. Long, though.
Very reasonably long.
It feels like 2.5 hour movie. Because it's so slow paced. It's
very deliberately paced.
Yeah.
Did I sell you on it, Huck?
I mean, look. When I get in that mood, yes, it sounds like a worthy watch. Even if it's just a one-timer. So you guys have talked it up good. So hopefully I'll get a chance to see it.
It's on what? It's on Max, right? That's where you want it.
Yeah, it's on Max. Yeah, on Max.
All you
which
people.
I have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so good. I want to watch it again, but why? I'm weird. But part of it is because it's so well made. It's like I need to look at that again. It's so pretty. Because it's like all quiet. Like it's so well made that you just have to. I want to see it again.
Yeah, like I said, it's gonna stick with me though for a long time because I still Boy in the Striped Pajamas sticks with me.
Yep.
And this is similar, obviously, in ways, but this one hit more. Boy in the Striped Pajamas is a very fictionalized take on things. This is very matter of fact on what happened. So that makes this one even more haunting than Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, like in December or something, or like January, and I'm like, I'll still randomly it'll pop in my head, like the ending will just like I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, the one I would go to over this, just personal, is Schindler's List. So if you haven't seen either, Schindler's List is another.
Schindler's List is the Hollywood version of this movie,
basically. Yeah.
Basically, I love. Yeah, I'm weird. I could watch Schindler's List every day.
I think if Schindler's List is just super long, that's the problem with that one, but it's really good. Very, very good.
I think if Zone showed the camp, though, and went in that direction, I think it would have actually lost impact. There's something about the not actually going in the camp that just made it that much more impactful for me. I don't know.
You only need to know what's going on and how they're so not oblivious to it, but they're just so fine. It's just they're there. That's why they live. That's their job. That's what they're doing. That's all it is for them.
Like earlier on in the movie, like my jaw was open where like they're having this very, casual talk about putting in a new incinerator.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was tough to watch.
My god! Like they're
horrific. Most horrific scene.
It's all so casual, and they're like, you could fit 400, and the guy said, no, you can fit 500 in there. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's just like this really interesting business meeting where they're pitching a brand new incinerator and how it works. Like, it's so interesting and horrible, but it's like, oh, can't
all
look
these
away.
little things, like even the when the ash starts hitting everyone in the river, and they immediately go to like rush to clean off, and the one Jewish woman has to clean the tub left with ash on the bottom, and she's just staring at the tub, and it's, oh my god,
Yeah,
man.
there's like jawbones like washing up on shore and stuff. Yeah, creepy.
Okay.
Watch it.
Half hour on that movie. Let's move on.
That's it. We'll talk about this for half an hour and then everything else for 5 minutes. It's one of those movies, though. It's like you have to talk about.
So what's your rating then, Tim?
Oh, 6 and 6. It's
a broken record.
We're changing the scores now. What is this?
No,
first we got 5s, now we got 6s.
Honestly, though, no one can. That is as much a Tim movie as you could possibly get. Like, that's Tim to a T. So,
no pun intended.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I think I was about 5 or 6 minutes into that movie. I'm like, Tim needs to see this right now. And then I'm still into the ear. So thank you for letting me recommend that to you, even though I knew you were going to see it. But now we're even, like I said, because you gave me past lives that I was going to watch anyways.
Yeah.
See if anyone in the comments is hooting and hollering about.
I didn't see any comments about.
No one.
They're all just like, I'm sad now, and then they all laugh.
They're like, Land of Bad. That was pretty decent.
Yeah, Land of Bad got all this.
They're like, that has a stupid title. What's this movie you're talking about? Hey, Steve, how's it going? Thanks for popping in here. Saw Land of Bad in the theater, and it was
That's what I thought. I thought it was gonna be hot garbage, and I'm like, this is better than that.
Nice. Should have put Tim last after that one. Mine are so unimportant and mediocre compared to Zone of Interest.
I'm sure I got another third place here, but let's go.
I mean, yeah. Well, in your defense, I recommended this to myself too. Honestly, like, all these are about the same. They're just such different kinds of movies that it's hard to gauge. So, yeah, no offense, but yeah, I'll go MASH first, which was hot.
No offense.
No, I was like, I haven't seen that. It was like, I recommended it to myself because I already own it and I haven't seen it.
To be fair, I recommended a much better movie, but he couldn't find it streaming, which was Three Kings, which I think he would have liked much better than MASH.
I probably would have. I mean, this wasn't bad. Like, I liked all these okay, at least. And as you can see, it's very pixelated, and that's how good the quality of this DVD is. It looks about the same as that logo in the center of the screen.
Delightful.
Yeah, but it's it's Korean War drama comedy that's not dramatic enough to be good and not comedic enough to be funny. And I could definitely see why it would work as a show, which I've never seen, but it's like one of the biggest shows ever from the 80s.
The show is better.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it isn't like Radar, the only character who's in the show, right?
That's right. He's the only one.
Same actor, at least. Yeah, it's different.
Gary Berghoff.
Yeah. And then, like, there's a lot of really funny, like, quick one-liners in this movie that I appreciated, but it is like very it aged terribly. I'll just put it that way, because it's like offensively sexist, and I'm not one to be offended by things, if you know me. Like, my wife watched the first half of this with me, and we just went to bed because it was late. And I was like, "You want to watch that tomorrow?" And she's like, "You can watch that by yourself. I got all I needed to out of it. Men are sexist in the army." I'm like, "Gotcha." And lo and behold, it didn't get better the second half of the movie, where it's like they do these like weird Animal House style pranks to these nurses and women in the military, where they okay. The gist of the plot is that I like the concept of the movie, where it's just these army medics doing their job. Like, I thought that was interesting. The characters are kind of funny, but I didn't like any of them. I was kind of like Tim when you said he didn't give a shit about Heartbreak Ridge. It's like, I like these actors, Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould, Tom Skerritt, who's also in Top Gun, which is one of my other ones that I thought was funny, that had 2 Tom Skerritt movies for somehow. And like, everyone in it's fine. Occasionally they're funny, but usually they're just like, I don't know, needlessly offensive, and not in like a a funny kind of offensive way. I guess like there's like they do like these little schemes to pass the time. So each little scene almost feels like an episode of a show, which is why I was like, this probably would make a way better show than it does a movie, because Robert Duvall's in it and he's like this crazy. He's crazy because he got all religious when he was there, which I thought that was funny. And then he got the hots for Hot Lips, they call her, which is like one of the new ladies in charge that everyone hates because she's trying to do her job properly. And I just thought that like, they just treat this woman like shit because she's just trying to do her job. And it's like, why am I supposed to like these people? Like, there's nothing redeeming about these characters at all, except for they're really good surgeons. So I don't know. It's just a lot of that over and over again. It's like kind of a funny thing, sort of interesting surgery moment. They do a good thing by trying to help a baby, and then the higher up doesn't want to let them, so they gas him and get him out of the picture, which like that's funny because they're in on it. And then it cuts to, you know, them trying to see what color pubic hair Hot Lips has to see if the carpets match the drapes. And it's like, what's happening? Like, why is this in this movie? So that's MASH. Pretty much watch the show. That's the gist.
There you go. It's about what I figured.
Yeah, but Hucker, I know, Tim, you watched it, but probably a million years ago, you said.
Yeah. The show's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see it being a decent show, but like as a movie, I'm like, nothing happens in this movie. There's no story. It's just like these guys are here, they do dumb shit for 2 hours, and then he leaves. Thank you for watching MASH. That's the movie.
So is it like a raunchy comedy then in a war setting? Like, is that how you? Because I like raunchy comedy, so I'm
this will not be that, Mike.
Okay,
this will not be a good raunchy comedy.
We were saying Animal House, and I'm like,
it's not. It's actually not that good. It's just all. I mean,
I was so excited to finally watch it because it's like it's a Best Picture nominee and it's in my AFI Top 100.
I remember not loving it.
How is it in that Top 100 list? Like, good Lord! Like, why is this? I'm not a huge Robert Altman fan, and he directed it, and I'm like, yeah, it's a Robert Altman movie.
See,
people talk over each other for 2 hours. The end. Robert Altman. But yeah, I mean, I'll give it 3s across the board. Like, I didn't despise the movie. Like it was like a roller coaster of like, oh, this is kind of good. I hate this. Oh, this is kind of good. I hate this. Like,
that's funny.
Over the course of 2 hours. But at least it had a really good bookend joke. So the ending of the movie was good. So it saved it. So I'll give it an average 3. Like, that's
3 and
fine.
3.
I probably
that's exactly where I expected to be. Let's move on.
Yeah. So if it makes you feel any better, all of them are probably going to end up about there. Next, I'll go with Mike's recommendation, Top Gun.
Wow.
Which when I started, I'm like, it's funny that you gave me an action movie for my war recommendation and a war movie for my action recommendation. Thinking in hindsight. I'm like, oh, that's weird. But yeah, I mean, Top Gun, it's Top Gun. I haven't seen it clearly because I watched it for this. Top Gun Maverick is really good. I watched that when it came out. You don't need to see the first one. I knew that going into the second one, hence why I watched it first, despite owning both of them. And pretty much the entire time I was watching this movie, I was like, this is okay. I wish I was watching Top Gun Maverick right now, though.
Maverick is so much better.
It's the same movie, but like 100 times better. It's very 80s. Like, it's an entertaining, fun 80s action movie with Tom Cruise with a love story in it, because that was the law back then. You can't have a movie without a love story in the 80s. They shoehorn it in there despite lack of chemistry.
Kelly McGillis. Yeah,
she's okay. I liked her better in Witness.
I was gonna say, it's funny, she had chemistry with Harrison, but not really with Tom.
Yeah, nobody has chemistry with Tom Cruise. Like, I love Tom Cruise, but he's not a human being. No one has chemistry with that actor. I'm sorry.
Not even his wife, Nicole Kidman, in Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah,
no chemistry.
Yeah. His ex-wife, Nicole Kidman. That worked out.
That worked out.
Yeah, like it was a fun movie. Like, it's exactly what I expected. So I'm not like mad I watched it. Happy I watched it. Had the cool soundtrack, which is the same soundtrack as Top Gun Maverick. So you might as well watch Top Gun Maverick anyways. Had more Velcro. That's the
Not
the
wrong.
best part about it. It's my third favorite movie starring Val Kilmer with the word "top" in the title. So think of what the other one is. Make that a game. But yeah, I mean, you've all seen Top Gun, obviously. I'm the last person on the earth to see it. Everyone knows what Top Gun is. It's Top Gun Maverick, but it's a half an hour shorter and 10 times less interesting. So that's where I am. Once again, 3s across the board. Glad I watched it. It was fine. I probably won't watch it again because why would I? Because I have Top Gun Maverick right over there.
It's funny that everything you're summing up is exactly how I feel. Like I'd rather just watch Maverick. Maverick just does everything better.
Yeah. Even the relationship in Maverick seems more realistic.
It does.
Like with Jennifer Connelly, even though she's just like, I'm here because the other one's not. But it still seems more like fitting. Because Tom Cruise learned how to act over that 30 years in between them a little bit better. So that helped.
Yeah,
I
think Jennifer had more chemistry for sure.
Yeah.
What I loved about rewatching Top Gun is that they're punched in really tight on their faces because they weren't in cockpits like they were in Maverick, which is why those aerial photography for Maverick was so good and why it should have gotten at least a cinematography nomination because just the actors being responsible to shoot themselves is a big deal. But you notice in Top Gun you don't see the surroundings when they're punched in because they didn't or if they did, it was a
they do a good job. But yeah, when it's the actors
but when they're in the cockpit, it's either green screen or really tight and you don't see the landscape.
Mm-hmm. I thought all things considered though, it looked really good. Like the flying sequences they look great for their time for sure.
Tony Scott did a great job directing that.
Yeah. The other Scott. Yeah,
I can't believe this. Blasphemy on Top Gun here. Top Gun is so good, people. Yes, it's not as good as Maverick. I'd probably watch Maverick 4 times and then Top Gun in between as a palate cleanser, but it's still really good. You guys already mentioned
how good Top Gun Maverick is.
Soundtrack, come on. Val Kilmer, fantastic as Iceman. You really get a lot of
things are in Maverick.
And that's okay, but you get Goose in here. Goose is excellent.
Yeah.
I love their buddy friendship. Like you can tell they have a really good bond. And then when they're at the piano playing and singing, I'm like, this is 80s amazingness right here. The volleyball scene, you can't do better than the volleyball scene. That might be a scene that's even better than the football scene in Maverick. So I like
the volleyball scene is better.
It's so good. It's so good. This movie is entertaining, and then the battles at the end, like it's all good.
I was underwhelmed by the volleyball scene. I expected more.
More
after 30 years of it being hyped up, I'm like, this is going to be the gayest scene I've ever watched, and I was like, it was okay.
Wow. And I like the relationship stuff too. You guys are tough on the relationship here. I'm like, this is.
We only want to see people getting turned into
instructor with Maverick, and Maverick's like riding away on the motorcycle, and she's like going after him.
That part was funny.
I'm really interested in you. Oh my gosh.
You know what's funny? This is totally a me thing, and Mike's totally right for recommending it. But for some reason, I mentally never think about this as a war movie. I always think of it as like a traditional action movie that just happens to have jets.
It's just like it's an action movie instead of a war movie.
I don't know why. I just never really think of it as the war.
That's the Navy here. Come on.
It is the military, so I'm like,
yeah.
This was more war than some of these other ones in here. Come on now.
I mean, there was no wall in it, but
exactly a lot more characters than just a wall. You had planes. Planes beat walls.
But they had helicopters on the wall and actual gunfire and war happening.
What are you talking about? Jets fighting each other?
Jets they were playing jets with Michael Ironside. He didn't even lose an arm in this movie, so
zero stars. Dies. Are you kidding me? The gut-wrenching moment where Goose dies, like that is such a powerful moment. If you don't have this movie, you can't have Maverick. You got to put respects on this.
But they put that scene in Maverick, and I already knew he died.
Well, that's how you know how great it is.
Yeah, that's
how good it was that Maverick had to go back and get some of these amazing scenes, like the piano scene. They put that in a Maverick too, but that's how you know it was so good in here.
Literally, Maverick just does it all. Just watch Maverick.
They took the 4 minutes of movie they needed to, and then put it into a much better version of the same movie.
I don't know. I feel like you get more appreciation for Maverick for seeing this stuff, especially with Iceman. I feel like you appreciate that more. I don't know. I think this is an important one to watch.
It's no top secret. I'll just put it that way.
All right, look, so I'll weigh in for you, Mike. Look, Maverick is better. I will say all day, every day, I would watch that. But I watched these when I was off back to back, same day. And for me, I loved the first Top Gun. It was really good. Like, I just liked Jennifer Connelly more than McGillis. I thought McGillis was good, but Connelly had a little bit more secret sauce. You know, there's something about her, I think. But I really, yeah. But the other stuff, I thought the aerial fights were great.
Mhm.
You know, the relationships with Goose was good. Yeah, I don't think I think you need a little bit of that Goose to get the gander in the second movie.
Yeah, it was exactly what I expected. So I have zero like problems with it. I was like, hey, I watched it finally. All right,
Great. Now it's
On to the
propping
next
up his
one.
table. He's like,
Yeah,
balance
no,
my
it's up
table
here. I
out
got
with
it.
Top
I was
Gun
nice enough
joke.
to take it out of the pile. I got it right here. It's on 4K at least. That's a plus. And by default, my favorite one, Operation Petticoat. Despite taking 14 hours to watch the movie on Pluto TV with ads, because Jesus Christ, this wins the award of being first because it's the only one I would watch again anytime soon because there's not a better version of it that exists in some form or another. And also, I want to see it without commercials because maybe the pacing is much better than it feels like when you watch it on Pluto TV. But yeah, it's right after World War II. Not after World War II, but right after the attack on Pearl Harbor is when the movie starts, and this sunken submarine needs to get pulled up out of the water and revamped and shipped back out to war because it's a virgin and it never got to experience battle. And it was why am I Cary Grant? There we go. I almost said Greg Repack because I always mess the two up. Cary Grant is the star of the film. It's his ship. He's in charge. He wants to get it ready. And then you got
Tony Curtis.
Wow. Thank you. I'm like Jamie Lee Curtis's dad. Tony Curtis as the guy who's in the Marine or not the Marines, the Navy, but he never gets his hands dirty. He's just like a sleazeball who gets around having to do any actual work where he just like sets up fun things for everybody. And then somehow he's like a lieutenant or whatever. So he actually has to do work for once. And so he uses his sleazeball antics against Cary Grant's straight-laced ship captaininess, and they make a fun pair. So there's good 50s charm. That's all I can say about it because I think it was about 59. And about halfway through the movie, they like magically there's women there, and that's hence Operation Petticoat. I was like, why is this called this? I'm like, oh, there's women now. Okay, now they're a thing. And then they disappear for half an hour, and then they become important again at the end. But yeah, it's a cute, fun movie. Once again, like I said, every movie before like the year 2000 had to have romance subplots in it, shoehorned into them for no reason whatsoever. So that's in this a little bit, but at least it's like cute and funny in this movie because it's just kind of I want to say slapsticky, but it's just light on its feet, fun comedy movie. It has some good things in there. If you've never heard of it, I recommend you watch it for sure. If you like older movies, this is even old to me, oldish movies. But I like Cary Grant. I like Tony Curtis. They have very similar voices, so I don't think they should have ever been in the same movie. I thought that was funny. I was like, they have the same voice. They should not be starring in the same film together. That's the first thing I said to my wife when we started watching it. But it's a cute movie.
So. But was this before or after Some Like It Hot? Because he totally does Cary Grant's voice in Some Like It Hot. Maybe that's why.
I think it was.
Like, remember when he was doing when he did the rich character, he was doing Cary Grant.
I think it might have been the same year, actually.
Were they both
1959?
I don't know.
They were around the same time. But yeah, it's just they sound so similar. It's just like, why are they the same person? But yeah, I thought it was fun. Like I said, I'd really like to watch it again at normal pace because I think it would be a fun watch.
Yeah.
And they get into a lot of fun little antics. There's some cute little jokes in there. Like the female mechanic is all, in cahoots with the male mechanic on the submarine, and she uses like one of her brassieres to like jerry rig the thing to start working, and he's like, oh my god, women, they can't be on a boat because it's the 50s. And it's It didn't age well, just like MASH, but in a less offensive manner.
Well, yeah, but you get Tony Curtis doing blackface, and the guy goes, "Why are you in blackface, sir?" He's like, "It's night camouflage."
They were doing it to hide, not to be black. It's different.
Yes, he called it night camouflage. Night camouflage, but the guy still said, "Why are you in blackface?"
Yeah, they used the word, but they were
the wrong choice of word.
Racist way. Yeah, it's a cute movie. I don't know. Tim would know more about it than me. Obviously, he's the one who recommended it. But yeah, I feel like I watched it like last week and today, so it's like hard to like pull together because I seriously took me like 4 days to watch this thing. But I enjoyed it, and I would watch it again
without commercials.
Without, yeah. If I could have the DVD and or Blu-ray and just watch it straight off, I think it would be a fun time for a good 2 hours as opposed to 3.5 hours or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, it's cute. It's a cute, fun, romantic comedy war movie.
Yeah,
I guess that's where you would pigeonhole it if you can.
Yeah, I basically just wanted to give out, because this was before you had MASH, but I wanted to give out a comedy one because they cranked out a decent amount of comedy World War II movies. So I was like, let's get a comedy in there. But I laughed so hard at the part with the pig when they were passing the pig off.
That was great.
Yeah.
They dressed up the pig. They put the little hat and the jacket.
I just felt bad for the pig in the scene before that, though. I was like, oh, this is horrible. That part's cute. But then, like, the scene before when they're trying to capture it, I'm like, you're trying to, like, kidnap a pig so you can eat it. I'm like, I just feel bad.
But, yeah, cute's a good way to put it, though. Like, it doesn't take itself seriously. It's just lighthearted fun.
Yeah. The submarine is pink. It can't be too serious.
Well, and the good news is after Derek's recommendation, Tim, apparently Operation Petticoat is still the only comedy that was recommended tonight.
They don't.
MASH is not funny
parts. I laughed at MASH on occasion.
You laughed at it, not with it.
Yeah. Depends on who was talking.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to come up top just by default, though. But
I'm like, I like all these about the same, but the only one I would rewatch soonest would be this one because I need to give it a fair chance and actually watch it without 17 hours of ads. But like I said, like if I want to watch Top Gun, I'll watch Top Gun Maverick. If I want to watch MASH, I'll go watch the show. If I want to watch Operation Petticoat, I'll go watch Operation Petticoat.
It's one of those movies where I don't think anyone would put it at the top of either Cary Grant or Tony Curtis's filmography. But if you like either actor, you'll get enjoyment, I think.
Yeah, there's some good dry humor in there because like Cary's really dry, and Tony's, obviously the opposite. So that's why they work well together. I just think it's funny because they have like the same voice, and it's just weird to me.
So who else saw it?
You watched it, right? Like?
Yeah, I got through the 15 hours on Pluto TV because Pluto TV sucks. Oh my god!
Yeah, we all watched it on Pluto.
At least they like save your place if you stop it. I'll give them that.
Really? It didn't save my place. I got lost one time, and I'm like, "Where is it?" And I kept going back.
Yeah. To continue when I went on demand, I'm like, "Oh, thank God, I went to like fast forward it."
Man, because in the commercials were all stacked together. There'd be like 3 or 4 of them in a row. I'm like, "What the heck?" Not even Tubi does it that bad. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the movie itself, just like you guys said it, cute comedy. When the nurses show up on the submarine, once again, I don't know why, the plot is nonsensical. That's when it gets pretty good because you got all the romances happening and, Tony Curtis is, pouring the champagne and trying to have that cute moment and all that. So that's really good. The pig stuff is great. The pink submarine, that's all. They're going after the pink submarine. They're like, oh, it's the Japanese. We got to take out the pink submarine. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. So that was kind of interesting in itself, but yeah, it is what it is. Not great, but not bad. I thought it was going to be terrible because you know how sometimes those classic war movies can be really boring and just drag on. If it wasn't for the commercials, like this would have been a very solid, entertaining enough watch. So
yeah, it's a comedy of its era. It just happens to be a war movie.
Yeah, like if I was, alive during that time, it probably would have been hilarious because there's still a few funny moments. So, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be cute when the graphics were like through the portal and, like at the fish. I'm like, okay.
It was like a fish tank.
It felt like Yeah, like a Don Knotts movie, The Incredible Mr. Limpet or something was starting. I'm like, okay, I see where we're going.
Had all the old timey music and old timey opening credits. So
yeah,
it's a cute film. I would watch it again. Probably not repeatedly, but I'd at least give it a true watch.
I would also like to watch it again.
With me. Yeah, because I'm like, I think because it really feels like the female characters like don't show up forever, and then they're there, and it's like ha ha ha, comedy, because women, and then in the 50s, and then they're gone for like an hour when you watch it with commercials, and then they're like all of a sudden they're there again. I'm like, where were they the last half hour? They're on the same submarine. It's not that big. Where have they been?
The plot was all over the place. I'm like, what the heck is this movie really about? And it's really just about the submarine going out so it can go into battle because he wants it to. It has to go.
That was the whole movie. Like when they were like, you have 2 weeks to get this sub back up and running. I'm like, I thought that was gonna be the whole movie, was them trying to get this submarine back up and running to go to war. And then like 10 minutes later, they're like, we did it. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess there's other stuff that's going to go on now. Like that kind of sounds like a good movie all on its own. If it was like, but yeah, it was cute. If you like the actors, you'll like it. It's one of those things.
I will take everyone thinking it's just a fine enough, cute movie. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
and hit number one. Who knew?
I know. It's Top Gun. What is going on? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Give me more options, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, make it happen.
Yeah, they're doing a Top Gun 3 because they have to, obviously, because they made $1 gajillion.
Yeah.
Have they done anything about it other than announce it? I don't know. So.
Probably not, because he's been working on the next Mission Impossible. So I'm sure he wants to make that good, since Dead Reckoning didn't do as well as they wanted.
That's why part of me is like,
yeah,
I want more Top Gun. But I don't like the last Mission Impossible, such a letdown for me. So
yeah, I didn't really get into it at all. I mean, I'm not like a massive fan of all of them, but there's a few of them that I definitely like a lot more than that one.
Yeah,
like 3, 4, 5, I thought, or 3 and 4 for sure. I was like really into it. I liked a lot because I saw those in theaters. But the rest of them after that, I was like, yeah, they're good, but I just need to rewatch them. But this most recent one, I was like, Another war movie. Yeah, Gallipoli. I haven't seen that with Mel Gibson.
I didn't either, but I know that one.
Yeah, should have recommended that one. Damn it.
Stupid Heartbreak Ridge. At least I own that, so I can watch it anytime I want. But now I don't want it because I saw how mediocre it was. Yeah, that's it. And before I forget yet again, I'm going to pop this thing up. Is that the one? That's the one. On the 19th. Next, what is it, Sunday? At 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be doing our normal / main Collectors Club show. I don't know what you want to call it, or A show as I refer to it. The recommendations is our B show. This is our A show. We're going to be talking about other war movies and things involving war movies, like the filmmakers behind them, and potentially collectibles involving war, veterans that we know and love, what the holiday means to us, things of that nature. I have it all set up and ready to go. So yeah, you guys got anything else to say before we skedoodle out of here?
Yeah, Tim, don't show up with a collection of teeth for your next thing.
I just want to say
this is my zone of interest collectible.
Now I'm gonna go grab my kid's baby teeth he just lost, and I'm totally gonna show it. I'm totally gonna show it.
Yeah,
you got 2 loose ones. I gotta rip them out by Sunday.
I just want to say I very much so. I love the recommendation streams. I love just chatting about these as we go through. I really enjoyed this. This is a really good episode. They're all good episodes, but I very much so enjoyed this. So thank you all for a good time.
Yeah, I'm glad I could depress you into with my movie. I was like, this is the best Tim movie ever. He's gonna love it because it's terrible. It's like the opposite of Things, basically.
Yeah, everything is the opposite of Things.
Started you with that bang, and I'm finishing you with this bang, and it's like.
It's funny how both Tim and my movie recommended by you depressed us, but Tim put his at number 1 and I put mine at number 3.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You got us dialed in.
And I know he was that was like his favorite movie that year too.
Tim likes sad. It's a known fact.
Yeah. All right.
Cheers.
I will pick the saddest thing I can think of for your next recommendation.
Yeah. I was like, it has an amazing sound design. It has a great score. It's sad. It's deliberately paced, and it's important. Tim will love it.
Yes.
Also, it's just good. So there's that. But yeah, everyone go find your kids and go watch Zone of Interest. Have a good time. Have a family fun night with grandma. Watch Zone of Interest together. And make some root beer floats and stuff. So we'll see you Sunday. And thanks for stopping by here.
Bye, y'all.